do you trust more? Because this is what I think the division is going to come down to. Do you trust Dallas's defense or Philly's offense more? It's a clear answer for me.
Dallas's defense.
I was going to say, at this point, after this offseason,
unbelievable.
I think Dallas's defense.
Dallas, I won't get into it now because we're going to talk about him. It genuinely the worst. Like, this is coming from genuinely the worst thing I've ever watched in my entire life as an NFL fan.
I watched them right there with you, and I agree with you.
Over 30 points a game.
Things are different.
Yeah. Things are better.
But here, no. I don't think that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Third and Wrong podcast. We are excited because we are doing some division previews. We're going to be looking at the different NFL divisions and taking a look at what our predictions are. We're going to share with you our predictions today. And we are starting with the NFC East. Boys, you know what division previews means. That means NFL games are right around the corner. Are you guys excited?
I'm pumped, man. Let's do this. So we're going a little NFC East tonight. So that's got my Cowboys in it, man. I'm excited. How about them boys? How about it? About to find out where they're going to finish this year, because
both of our Cowboys
going to hear it here first tonight on the Third and Wrong podcast.
Our predictions are going to be right. So
100%.
Want to know, well, some of them.
We'll see.
Some of them.
Bound to hit something.
Yeah.
They might all be wrong.
We'll guarantee we get something right by the end of this video. How about that? Even if it has nothing to do with football.
Team will be in the right spot.
All right. Let's see our division previews. I'm going to let Jacob head it off and tell us his quick overview, thought process behind his rankings.
Just a quick overview, not getting into any details yet. As you can see, the rankings are on your screen right in front of you. But if you're listening on Spotify or somewhere where you can't hear it, I'll read them out to you. I have, in the NFCs, I have the Eagles finishing first. I have the Cowboys finishing second, the New York Giants finishing third, and then the Commanders finishing fourth. I love the Cowboys. I still think the Eagles are the best roster in the NFC East going into next year. I just couldn't pull the trigger, even with the Cowboys having a little bit of an easier schedule than Philly. But so I stuck with the Eagles at the top, man. I think they're going to be tough to knock off that ledge for Dallas this year. I really do.
Yeah, I'll go next for me. My rankings, I have the Cowboys finishing in first in this division, the Eagles finishing in second, the Giants finishing in third, and the Commanders finishing in fourth. This was a really hard division to start with for us to try to make our predictions. Honestly, I was really torn between the top three of who would finish first. And so I'll give a little more reasoning a little bit later, but I'm pretty confident the Commanders will come in last.
Yeah. For everybody watching the video that can see our rankings, it looks like me and JJ just copied each other, but I swear I sent mine in the group chat first. So if anything, JJ copied me.
Whoa, I didn't check.
Shots.
So for the ones that
starting early,
again, I went Cowboys, number one, winning the division, Eagles coming in second, Giants coming in third, and the Commanders bringing up the rear in fourth place. Just like these boys, I have my reasoning. I'm not like JJ. I don't think it's a three-way fight to see who comes in first. Wow. But
do you think it's a two-way fight?
Yeah, okay. I'm definitely more on Jacob's train, where it's like one or two can easily be swapped. But
I don't even think they can. I mean, they could be swapped. I wouldn't even say easily. I'm more on the Giants train than you, Slade. I'm not as far as JJ, but I'm very optimistic about New York next year. I really am. It's probably a little ambitious, but
since that feels like the most interesting discussion of this episode, let's talk about the Giants first. Let's dive into the Giants. What are you guys thinking for the Giants? Like, what are you guys projecting for them? I feel like this is one of the most controversial teams in the NFL for this year.
Well, I think there's a couple things that stick out to me. Right? One is the health. How healthy are the Giants? We got to see a little bit of Jackson Dart last year. When he was on the field, he was great, but he wasn't on the field much. Also, you have a true alpha receiver in Malik Neighbors. We also tore his ACL, I believe, in week 3 last year and was coming off like a 190-yard game the week before he tore it. So is he back to 100%? Is Dart healthy? Is Cam Scatterbo healthy? So I think just starting off just a broad, are they healthy? Are these guys going to be back to normal? But if they are, I think there's a lot of things to like. I think the first thing I'll start off with some things I really like. One, I think the draft was awesome for New York. I think you bringing in Francis Mauigoa, who I think was the best offensive lineman in the draft, to plug in. And then I think Arvell Reese, who was arguably the best player in the draft. I don't know if anybody walked away from that Thursday night feeling better than New York did. Those are both guys that are instant impact. But then they do still raise some question marks, to be honest with you, most particularly on the defensive side of the ball. What's weird about New York is they should have been elite on the defensive line last year, but it really was just Brian Burns and everybody else. Like, they have a lot of, like, Kayvon Thibodeau, I really thought they were going to move on from him this offseason, to be honest with you. Like, they picked up his fifth-year option. I figured they would trade him and move on from him, but they brought him back. He's really underperformed. Maybe he has a big year in his contract year, but the dude I would really watch out for is Abdul Carter. I think he came on down the stretch last year. We know Burns is elite, but I think Carter is going to be a lot better as well. The linebacker room should be better. Obviously, you got Arvell Reese. You go out and get Tremaine Edmonds. And then the wide receiver room, just to try to be really quick, I think is a lot of question marks. Like I said, with Neighbors, can he stay healthy? Can Darius Slayton stay healthy? Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame, the rookie. He's a big body. He's maybe has some high upside. We'll see. And then it's kind of some veteran guys. You have Odell. You have Juju. You know, they'll probably play some. But I love the signing of Isaiah Likely as well. And then in the back end of that secondary, the secondary was terrible last year. They picked up Greg Newsome, but Greg Newsome did not have a great season last year. But maybe he's due for a bounce-back season. We've seen him have good years. And then brought back Javon Holland at safety as well. But he's another guy that's a big-name guy but had a really bad season. So the defense was terrible last year, passing and run, particularly on the run. They didn't really do a ton to address the run defense. So, I mean, they got DJ Reader. Maybe he can help with that a little bit. But I think more of the questions for me is I feel like they're exciting. Like, especially all the young guys they have, that core three on offense just makes me really excited about New York. Even when now that I'm more talk about it, there still might be a lot more questions than answers. But I still think it's an exciting roster to a certain extent.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, like I said, like, I think this is one of the few worst to first candidates in the NFL for this year are the Giants. Like, I think the Giants very well could go from worst in their division to first this year. And I think it could surprise some people, whether that's because of injuries to, like, we all know the Cowboys offense is injury prone. We know the Eagles, like Saquon could get injured. I mean, he's an old running back. And if Saquon gets injured, man, the Eagles are going to struggle for a lot of the year. And so I just think the Giants have a lot of potential to just like explode. I feel like Dart could really take a leap. I feel like Cam Scatterbo, like what he was doing before he got injured was just like, wow, there's a reason this guy shouldn't have been a 4th round pick. Like, he should have been drafted earlier than this. Malik Neighbors, like Jackson Dart. Here's what we forget. Jackson Dart didn't have Malik. Like, I don't know that he threw a single pass to Malik. Did he?
No, I
don't think so. I think Malik got hurt in the third or 4th week.
Well,
he got hurt
Jackson
week 3, I
Dart
think. That was
4.
Russell's. I think that was Russell's last start. Was the week that Neighbors got hurt.
He didn't even have Malik Neighbors, and he did great. He was throwing the ball to Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and that was his. And Wan'Dale Robinson's a respectable player, but like
he's gone now too. By the way,
yeah, he's gone. But I think Mooney is on par. I think Darnell Mooney is a good player. Malik definitely as a wide receiver too. Malik Neighbors is obviously incredible. Hopefully he can.
He's a true one. Yeah, he's a true one.
And then Isaiah Likely, like, people forget they signed Isaiah Likely and paid him a ton of money. And this is a guy that people have been waiting to break out for years, and he goes with his head coach. So John Harbaugh, like, I think that's one of the biggest factors for them being better this year. Like you said, they drafted great. Their defensive front is going to be scary. I don't know. I just could really see them surprising some people. And like, I could see them winning this division with 11 wins. On like, even if that's what happens, you've got to think they finished 4th in their division. So they're going to have an easier schedule. So there may be just some games that they can pick up. But I still think they end up finishing 3rd. Like my rankings said, like I didn't end up having them finish any higher. but I could really see it happening.
Yeah. Going off of kind of what both of y'all said, y'all both hit the highlights that I have listed down here. But I think them bringing in the veteran receivers will play a tremendous help for Dart. And then also, like y'all said, Neighbors could be a stud number one if he stays healthy. If you let him and Malachi Fields, if you let them grow up under people like Juju, Odell, Darnell Mooney, Braxton Berrios, they signed.
Juju.
None of those guys are going to be stars for the team, but they definitely could help in the long run. And my thing is, I'm not hating on the Giants by any means. I like the Giants. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch, but I feel like it's going to be a few years until they find their identity. I think their identity right now, as we all know, is the pass rush. But what is that offense going to be? Is Cam Scatterboo going to come back? Is he going to be what we thought or what we think he can be? Is it going to be more of a pass first offense? Can Dart really become an evolution on his pass game? Greg Newsome, like you said, and Tremaine Evans, that helps the defense. DJ Reader helps the defense. But I mean, the biggest thing is the loss of Dexter Lawrence. I mean, you lose
It's
big,
huge.
sexy Dexy. I mean, do you have somebody that can fill that hole?
And the run defense was already horrible. It was 26th in the
Right.
NFL last year with Dex. So
Which is crazy.
It's bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're fun, but I still think that they're kind of what you saying, Slade. I still think they're a little too far. The defense just would need such a big leap next year to really contend.
What I saw from that trade is, I think we're 1-2 years away. We think the defense is going to be great without Dexter Lawrence in a few years. So let's capitalize on his trade value right now, get some picks back, and let's hope we can just build around the young studs that we have. And I think they can do it. My question mark, as you said, Jacob, is can everybody stay healthy? It's the biggest question mark. Will Dart become more laid back runner and not try to run through people? Can Scatterboo also do the same thing and not run through people? I know that's his identity.
I don't think he can.
I think the thing for me though is why I'm excited is because of Harbaugh coming. Like, I think Harbaugh's just
That's a
really
huge
good
deal.
coach.
That's a big deal.
And
that definitely moves
coming
the
from
needle.
having Lamar, like, to having Dart, I think that's going to make Dart's legs really useful, but also under control. And so I can totally see what you're saying. This could be another Jaden Daniels situation where we saw a big flash rookie year, and then like there's no question that Dart could get injured with the way he
I think
plays.
it's worth noting
and
that
they could win 4 games.
I think it's worth noting that Harbaugh could have went anywhere in the NFL. He had his pick. He was going to be the first coach off the market no matter what, and this is where he chose to go.
Right.
So I think that's telling. I think there's a lot of talent, particularly on that defensive line and on those young offensive players.
I think at the very least, I don't know how you guys feel about the Bucks. Bucks are not that good of a team. Like, the past couple of years, they've been all right, been able to win a terrible division, but like it didn't mean much for them to win their division. But they've been an all right team. But the Bucks are one of the most fun teams to turn on the TV every year.
Fun offense and not a great defense. I think that could
that's
be
how the Giants are
could
going
be this
to
team.
this year.
Yeah. But I do think it's what, like I think the defense can take a leap though. So I really do think that's where my hope lies, that because especially under Harbaugh, who historically has coached a lot of really good defenses.
Right.
So I think there's a lot to be hopeful about.
Another guy that I left out and I have him down here, and I kind of skimmed over him, was Colton Hood. I mean, they brought him in the draft too, and in the secondary, I feel like he can, in a few years, he could be a stud as well in the league.
Right. I also feel like Arvell Reese, like,
that's so big.
Arvell Reese, like, if he would have gone to the Jets, we all would have been like, oh, he went to the Jets. Like, their defense is like such an upgrade, right? Like, we would have been talking about him like as the star player on that defense. And I feel like because he went to the Giants, his impact is being minimized because he went somewhere where we didn't feel like they needed him, because we thought of him as an edge rusher. They had a lot of edge rushers, but he's listed on their depth chart as the left inside linebacker right beside Tremaine Edmonds. And that's where he's going to play. And so I think his impact could be really, 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 really huge and far bigger than we realize.
yeah.
Or I mean, maybe not. But like I think there's a very realistic possibility that people are underestimating Arvell Reese and kind of forgetting how excited we were about him because he went 5th overall and not 2nd overall like everybody expected.
I'm sure I'm sure Harbaugh will move him around too. He's going to find ways to get him in a position to be successful. Not that it takes much because he's so talented, but I'm sure he'll move him around. I'm sure he will play the edge some. I'm sure, like you said, he'll play backer. Like he's just such a good. I mean, arguably the best player in the draft. So I don't think you can go wrong with him.
And I think branching off of one thing you did mention early on, Jacob, about Kayvon Thibodeau, you thought he'd get dealt in the offseason.
Can't believe they didn't move him.
I think they might do that during this coming season. I could definitely see them, depending on how the season starts out. Yeah, let him play, and then trade him. Hopefully, get maybe another receiver, maybe a running back if Cam Scatterboo isn't healthy. Maybe get somebody that can slot in and fill that role. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks, but like y'all said, it's a lot of fun from the Giants.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's transition into the Commanders. I think this will be a quick discussion. We're all clearly confident that they're going to finish in last, which I feel like is a bigger statement than the Giants finishing in 3rd. So, I guess let's start with this question. What do you think Jaden Daniels' season looks like this year?
I don't know. I think they got him in a tough spot, man. I'm going to be honest. I feel kind of bad for him. There's always a team that surprises you every year in the NFL, like really surprises you. Last year it was New England. People thought they were going to be better, but nobody thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, it was Washington. Like nobody thought Washington had a good roster coming into the season 2 years ago. Go all the way to the NFC Championship. The roster on paper is not very good, but not to get off task, speaking of your question with Daniels, I mean, the wide receiver room on paper, and you don't play the game on paper, so there's going to be team surprises. It's probably the worst in the NFL just looking at it. I wouldn't even say the worst because that feels wrong because there's a lot of unprovenness in it, but it's definitely the most unproven. You
don't like Luke McCaffrey?
I don't. I'm going to be honest.
Not at number 2. I don't.
Rice legend?
But Terry McLaurin is a guy. We just did our duds and studs videos. We all confidently had him in our dud. We talked about him all as taking a regression. I mean, he's in his 30s. He just got paid. He wasn't very good last year. I know he didn't get to play with Daniels a bunch, but I don't necessarily love where Terry McLaurin is at in his career. Then you have Luke McCaffrey. He's had some good moments, whatever. Then you got Antonio Williams, rookie out of Clemson, who I love. I'm a big Clemson fan. I think Antonio Williams is a fantastic player. But I don't think he moves the needle a ton. But I do think he can be a guy. I think he can be a guy that gets surprised some people, though. I think they really like what they have in him. Then you have Jalen Lane, the second-year guy at Virginia Tech, Dwami Brown, who besides, a couple of games has really underperformed in his NFL career. Nothing to write home about. Van Jefferson, another guy, hasn't done much in his career coming out of Florida. Had some decent moments early in his career, but it's not a very good wide receiver room. And I think that's tough for Daniels, man. That really is, especially since they don't necessarily have a great running game either. So at least not last year. So we'll see, man. Yeah. He's in a bad situation, I think, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I'll try to go ahead and answer your question as well. I do think, I think we can all agree that Jaden Daniels is definitely the bright spot on this team. He's the only guy that, if there was somebody on this team that's going to turn the season around and make somewhat a run, it's going to be because of Jaden Daniels. I don't think there's anybody else on this team that's going to do much for them. But it's like they had the holes on offense at receiver, running back, tight end, places where like people you need on the team to be great. And they just went out and, they filled the holes, but it wasn't with anybody of much value. You got Rashad White, Van Jefferson, Chiga Conquo. Those are people you add in free agency, which is, they're good players, but they're not going to, like Jacob said, move the needle. Right. You draft Antonio Williams, Nick Nash, who had a good season last year in college, and then Katron Allen. Those are 3 guys that, the upside might be there, but let's be honest, they're 3rd, 4th, 5th round guys. How much are they going to actually provide for the team? And I understand you want a Sonny Styles. You go out and draft him. You get Leo Chenal, Odafe Awe. But it's like I don't know. The team had so many holes and question marks, and they didn't fill them with anybody of value that's going to win them 2 or 3 extra games, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's the difficulty for Jaden Daniels is what kind of happened is like they had a lot of needs on offense and they filled all of those needs with veteran presence, like mediocre veteran presence, rather than like any stars from the draft or from the free agency or anything. Like they did not spend their money and their picks on their offense, which I just think is a little bit funny considering their position. Like you've got Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt top of the depth chart right now. Rashad White, realistically, I think will be the starter. Terry McLaurin, Treylon Burks, Luke McCaffrey, Antonio Williams. Like, it's just like really bad offensively. But we didn't think it was that great offensively 2 years ago. And so if Jaden Daniels goes out there and is Superman again, like I could really see them having another magical season. Especially because the defensive front at least is decent. Like you've got Tim Settle, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Odafe Owe, Leo Chenal, Sonny Styles. Like I feel great about that. Like if I'm the Commanders, I feel great about that. The problem is the back end is just like Trey Amos and Mike Sanderstill as your 2 starting cornerbacks. I'm not like running home to tell people about that. Like I'm not excited. So I think that's the hard part for Jaden Daniels is like, I think his offensive line still is not great. He's going to be under pressure. They're going to struggle with that. And he doesn't have that many people to throw to. So I think it's a tough spot for the Commanders.
Speaking of what you guys said about the defense, I will say we were talking a little bit off air about the Commanders before we came on. At least me and Slay were. JJ was setting some stuff up, getting ready for the pod. I'm a lot higher on this defense. Me and Slay were just kind of running through it. We were just talking about, we all prepped for this video, and we know we don't talk to each other beforehand. We kind of like to see what each other have once we get on here. We were talking about it a little bit while we were waiting. I seem to be a little higher on their defense than I think you guys are. I think the biggest problem is like you said, you hit it. They did a lot to address the needs on the defensive line. Also drafting Sonny Styles. That's another guy. That's really exciting. And I think that, you bring in Odafe Owe, 7.5 sacks last year. Chason, 7.5 sacks last year. But before that, he hadn't had any big years. And by far, it's an anomaly for his career so far. So I think that's their biggest question mark. Can he do it again? Another thing to highlight that I will say about Washington that I don't think gets enough credit and something that it does play well in Jaden Daniels' favor is they have one of the more underrated tackle rooms in the entire NFL with Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. We know he's a stud. And Josh Connerly Jr. in his sophomore season last year, second year in the NFL, was one of the highest PFF graded jumps from year 1 to year 2 at the tackle position. That's pretty normal for offensive linemen. You come in from college as a higher rated guy. You struggle as a rookie. You have a really good second year, and that kind of normally sets that career trajectory on to have a really good career. He was supposed to be a really good player coming out, was really good last year. So if they can protect him, if they can stay healthy, there's some question marks on the interior offensive line, which I think, again, hurts the running game a little bit. And then, again, the back end of the secondary, just not good. I mean, you bring in Amik Robertson, but I don't think that helps you a ton. Sanderstill was really bad last year. So
lose Marshawn Lattimore,
wasn't
great.
And yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, I like the addition of Nick Cross. I think that was an underrated addition. But the problem with Nick Cross is Nick Cross, he's a really speedy safety. He's a 4.3 guy, like a burner. But the problem is he's not a great coverage guy. Like he's better in the box than he is in coverage. He's really, really good against the run.
And you don't need him in the box.
He's below average in coverage. And like you said, that's not what they need. So I worry about him giving up a bunch of yards through the air. So, but I do think that Daniels is healthy. Like you said, if he's healthy, we know how good he can be. And I think they have a chance to protect him. And I think 2 players to watch. The last thing I'll say, even though we fit on him some, is Antonio Williams, Katron Allen, the two rookies drafted a little later in the draft. If there's going to be surprises, it's going to have to come from guys like that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Katron Allen's the lead back in that backfield by week 8 or 9. Like, I really do think he's that good of a talent coming out of Penn State. I think he's a really good player.
I have a player to watch as well. I think Chig Okonkwo could realistically have a
Big Chig. You do love Chig.
I love
Chig. Is a Chig enthusiast.
He is a freak athlete, and he's played for the Poverty Titans for 4 years. So I think he's a candidate to have a breakout year comparatively to what he's done in past year. I think this could be a David Njoku situation.
Holy
he is
cow.
not old at all. I'm telling you, bro. So
Chig is low key a stud.
Got some quarter. now we're talking. He's got a quarterback.
He's not 35.
Now,
he's an animal.
I think like if Jaden Daniels does end up getting some pressure from the interior offensive line, and he needs a solidified target that doesn't need much route development, that tight end becomes that security blanket. And I think Chig Okonkwo is better than we realize. Like, I just have a lot of faith in the player. I feel like he's great.
Well, to note too that he really loved going to Zach Ertz 2 years ago when he was healthy. He was a big part of that run they had a couple years ago, kind of that safety blanket. Zach Ertz was not. He was late in his career. He wasn't. It's not like he's throwing.
Zach Ertz would catch the ball and fall down. Like, imagine if the tight end runs after they catch it.
He caught a lot of balls that season. He had a great year. I think he was a Pro Bowler that year.
He was pretty awesome that year.
He was a vital part of that team. So he was a guy that really kind of turned into that safety blanket, like you said, Ford. So it's worth noting. I like that. It's a good shout.
So on my notes, I have like a question mark for each team, and usually it's like, oh, is this offensive? Like, is the offensive line going to be good? Is the receivers going to be good? The question I have under the Commanders right here is, should they rebuild?
Break 1,000 yards.
Should they rebuild?
I think they're rebuilding right now, right?
But like I'm saying, like, do we get rid of Terry McLaurin? Do we maximize draft capital on Laramie Tunsil? Players like that, Deron Payne, get rid of the veterans, the old veterans that you don't see sticking around for 3 or 4 more years, and capitalize on Jaden Daniels being so young. Sonny Styles, he could be the Jaden Daniels of the defense. I mean, linebacker is usually the quarterback of the defense.
That's what they call him, the Jaden Daniels of the defense.
I think that's his nickname. So I would like to hear y'all's takes on that. Do y'all think it would be stupid for them to kind of sell out this year if they start out bad? Like, let's say they start out 2-6.
Sure. I think Terry's problem is, especially if they're willing to move off of Terry and sell him, I don't know if you're going to get anybody to take that contract. 2 years left on. But Tunsil,
the only reason he got that contract is because he's a hometown hero.
And to be fair, he was coming off a big year, but they were very reluctant to pay him. That's all I'll say. I mean, it was not without
there's a team or two out there that would.
He was turning 30.
There's a team or two out there that would go out and get Terry McLaurin.
But I'd say this is his. Look,
you might not be able to get like first and seconds for him, but you can get something for him.
He was bad last year, but he also didn't play with Daniel, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's just, I mean, Father Time is undefeated, man. I mean, there's not much you can do with it. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's not
Besides
a knock
Derrick
on
Henry, but yeah,
not a knock on Terry McLaurin. Yeah, unless you're, I mean, it's undefeated against humans. I guess not whatever Derrick Henry is, maybe. He's not human.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Commanders just need to see what happens. We all know teams don't throw in the NFL. It's not like the NBA. This is not like they're gonna fight to the death, even if it means getting a worse pick.
They spent a lot of money this offseason.
Yeah,
they spent a lot of money this offseason, particularly on the defensive line. So
I think all of these teams could surprise us. I think this is going to be a very interesting division. I'm scared for your Cowboys, man, because I think these are all teams. I think these are all teams that could beat you throughout the season. Like, these aren't teams you play and it's like a gimme.
Washington still doesn't scare me. I'm going to be honest.
I wouldn't be afraid, but I would not feel confident you're going to sweep them.
Sure.
So
I'm going to go.
I'm confident. If we don't have 2 free wins, I'm going to be upset.
We need to move on. Let's get to the Eagles, and talk a little bit about them, since the majority of us had them in second place. Jacob, let's start with you. Just tell us your reasoning for having them be the winners, bro.
So The thing that I actually have written at the top here, and this isn't necessarily some statistic or anything to back it up. I just have the word deja vu written at the top of it. Because what this reminds me of is 2 years ago, the Eagles played in the Super Bowl. They lost this one, but they played in the Super Bowl, lost to Kansas City. They come back the next year. They start the season really well. They end the season terribly. They go into Tampa Bay, get blown out in their playoff game. The offense was terrible down the stretch. A.J. Brown's angry. They're saying they're going to trade him. They come back the next year. We all know what happens. They end up winning the Super Bowl. Played in the Super Bowl last year. It feels like the same thing happened. They started the year relatively good last year. The offense was really never good, but down the stretch, it was really, really bad. Like, I'm talking like abnormally bad. Like, if you didn't make any sense of how it could possibly have been so bad, but it was horrible. And it just kind of feels eerily similar. There's not any sort of anything to back that up, but I did write down deja vu because it feels very similar to 2 years ago when they had the bad end of the season, particularly on offense. Then they came back and lit the world on fire and just steamrolled their way to the Super Bowl. But the biggest reason for me, defense wins, man. Like we saw it with Seattle last year. We saw Philly do it last year in the NFL. Something I have written down right here, I really think, and one of them, and you can attest to this, JJ, because I'm sure you watched it. I think they had the 3 best defensive performances in the NFL last year. It's weird. They would have a really bad game, the 10-7 game against Green Bay, the 16-9 game against Detroit, and the 13-12 game against Buffalo, against 3 elite teams. Like, you can take Seattle, you can take all these teams. I don't care. Like, I'll say this. When that defense is on and it was playing at its best, I think it's the best defense in football.
Those are 3 of the best offenses in the NFL.
It's unbelievable. It's particularly the Green Bay game. That was the best defensive performance of the NFL. Like, Green Bay could not get anything going. Like, it was unbelievable. They could hardly gain a first down. Vic Fangio is a wizard. And not only is he a wizard, they have the talent. Particularly the secondary it's scary when you look at it. They had a top 10 passing defense last year. They had the 8th best passing defense. And what do? They go out and add Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen isn't necessarily – he didn't have a great year last year. He's a guy who was great year as a rookie, kind of carved out a big name. He's really big, really fast, really fun to watch. The numbers aren't great last year when you look at his coverage numbers. The one thing that I think really sticks out to me is an underlying metric. He was number 1 in the NFL in yards per attempt in man coverage. He was 2.7 yards per attempt when he was in man coverage. He's still really good in man coverage. He's 3rd in the NFL since 2022 in interceptions in man coverage. Philly likes to play a lot of man under Vic Fangio, so I think he's going to do well. Obviously, A.J. Brown's out. I think the offensive line was weird. One thing that was weird to me, too, last year with them, they were 23rd in the NFL in rush yards allowed. It doesn't make any sense to me how that's possible with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. I don't think there's any chance that happens again. I'm not saying they go all the way into the top 10. I don't think they finish in the 20s again in rushing yards given up. And I honestly expect that offensive line to be a little bit better this year, too. I know the tackles are elite, but the guards struggled a little bit last year. Saquon really struggled, and I don't think it was a him problem. He couldn't get anything going. I think the offensive line is going to be better. And then they have some fresh talent coming into that wide receiver room that I like as well. Even with Brown going out, I think Mekhi Lemon was one of the best picks in the draft. I love him coming out of USC. He catches everything that comes his way. He's an elite route runner. And y'all know how I feel about Eli Stowers. So even with Jalen Phillips leaving, I still think that defense, I think it's the best secondary in football. So that's the back end is going to be elite, which is such a big deal in the modern NFL. It is such a big deal to be able to completely take away the passing game. And they can take away the passing game unlike anybody else in the NFL. It's such a hard thing to do. I think playing cornerback is the hardest thing to do maybe in sports. And they have 2 guys that do it, particularly Quinyon Mitchell, that do it as good as anybody on the planet. So that's my reasonings. I think that the run defense kind of comes back to earth this year because I think it was a little weird. And I think the run game will be a little bit better. I just think that defense is nasty, man. And I love Dallas. I just think that Philly's defense is too good. I still think Dallas is going to give up too many points next year to win the division. I think they're going to lose too many games for defense again.
Well, let me jump in. I see what you're saying. I think my biggest concern is the offense here. Like, I just don't know how well they're going to do. I know their offense was unprecedentedly bad last year.
It's so weird.
They literally just They literally just changed offensive coordinators again.
Couldn't begin to tell you.
Sean Mannion. They hired Sean Mannion as the offensive coordinator. And so they've just been going through offensive coordinator, like, because their offensive coordinator, was it Shane Steichen before that when they won the Super Bowl the first time?
Shane Steichen was there when they went to the Super Bowl the first time and lost to Kansas
Went
City.
to
And
the
then
Super
he
Bowl the
left.
first time. Then it was a year of terribleness. So maybe they'll get lucky and Sean Mannion is the answer. But the only thing that has saved them is their offensive coordinator being good. The regress of rushing yards and rushing touchdowns was a bit concerning to me. Like, I don't understand why those were so absent. And so that's a little concerning to me. Deep ball to A.J. Brown is a nice comfort blanket to have. And they just don't have that anymore. None of the guys in this receiver room are A.J. Brown level anymore. Like, I think I would.
Schmitty's a good deep ball target, though.
Sure. Yeah, Smitty is a good deep ball target. And I hope they start to utilize him that way more, because I don't feel like they really have. I feel like he runs a lot of intermediate stuff, like intermediate crossers and stuff like that. Maybe they'll start to use him on the deep ball more. I think it all comes down to the offensive coordinator. Can the offensive coordinator get Saquon going again? But Saquon's not getting any younger. And the offensive line last year was not as good. So the defense is incredible. Like, they're gonna have a hard time losing games because of the defense. The defense lost a couple players, like it was nothing big. They lost
Jalen Phillips,
Reed Blankenship. Those are the three names, but they filled those spots. Now the safeties are not great. Like, it's Andrew Makuba and Marcus Epps. Like, that's not great. But they filled the linebacker spot with
Jonathan
Grenard, sorry.
Mora Juma on the defensive line.
They added Reek Woolen. Yeah, so I think, like, there's those kind of things are not as concerning. I think it all comes down to that offense.
Yeah, I'm with you, JJ. And some of the guys, well, y'all just mentioned Jonathan Grenard, but Dontavian Wicks and Hollywood Brown, kind of how we were feeling on, like, people like who was it? Van Jefferson, Odell, Juju, people like that. It's not people that are gonna move the needle per se, but Wicks is definitely a viable wide receiver 3 for him. And I mean, it seems like they knew that the AJ Brown situation was just going downhill. And
receiver room's not bad. It's really not,
because they went out and got Wicks to be the 3, drafted Lemon, and like you said, drafting Eli Stowers, who you love. I don't think. I'm kind of with JJ on this. I don't think Saquon is going to particularly bounce back. I don't think the offensive line is getting much better. I don't see how they would get much better. They didn't add nothing. They didn't really lose nothing, but they didn't add nothing. So I think, like JJ said, everything relies on if Jalen Hurts can throw the ball. If he can utilize Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, Devontae Smith, Eli Stowers, people like that. Yeah, I have down here, would the offense thrive without AJ Brown? But the offense didn't even really thrive last year with AJ Brown. So
here's the question I would raise you to, because this is what I really think it boils down to, and that's what I think we're going to be talking about. What do you trust more? Because this is what I think the division is going to come down to. Do you trust Dallas's defense or Philly's offense more? It's a clear answer for me.
Dallas's defense.
I was going to say, at this point, after this offseason,
unbelievable.
I think Dallas's defense.
Dallas, I won't get into it now because we're going to talk about him. It genuinely the worst. Like, this is coming from genuinely the worst thing I've ever watched in my entire life as an NFL fan.
I watched them right there with you, and I agree with you.
Over 30 points a game.
Things are different.
Yeah. Things are better.
But here, no. I don't think that's the question, though. I think the question cannot just be a one-to-one comparison. I think it has to do with, like, how the difference level between the two. Because if you're to make it proportional of, like, at the end of the day, you got to score points. I know defense is going to, like, do you really well sometimes, but offense is the motor of your team. And so if you cannot put points on the board, to me, I know defense is great, but offense is still my priority. Like, I want my team to be scoring points on a Sunday.
Like, I just read you
at
off.
the very least, you can remember the Detroit team a couple years ago. Like, they stunk. Their defense was terrible, but their offense was incredible. And so they'd score 55 points in the game. And guess what? It didn't matter that their defense stunk because they scored enough points. I don't know that the Eagles can do that. And they won't have to. They won't have to because their defense is good, but I don't know that they can, their defense is going to be able to compensate if their offensive coordinator situation is as bad as it was last year.
I think my thing with them too is I've seen that Philly offense operated at a really high level. Like, I know Brown's gone. I've seen Jalen Hurts do it. I've seen them operate at a really high level. Saquon's still there. And also when I read off 10-7, 16-9, 13-12, when they're able to win like that, getting nothing out of the offense last year, I think the offense is going to be better this year. I don't think there's any way it's not. It just –
You think it's going to be better?
I don't think it can be any worse. I think it was horrible. I don't think it can be any worse.
I don't know, man.
I just want to leave you with
you're
this.
underestimating how helpful AJ Brown was.
They didn't throw him the ball. I mean, he didn't do it.
He had 1,000 yards last year.
In 17 games. I mean, that's what? 20th in the NFL?
Okay, that's fine. But AJ Brown still was clearly the number one target on that team. He was AJ Brown is a better wide receiver than Devontae Smith. Like, you're downgrading your number one, and you're also making it to where, like, AJ Brown can compensate for bad quarterback play. I don't know that the other guys have the ability to do that. I think they have a great wide receiver room, but I don't think they're the level where they can just they can compensate if the quarterback play is bad and make the quarterback play look bad.
Hurts was just off last year, man. Like, it was weird. I think I definitely don't think Hurts is like, I'm not a huge Hurts guy, like, by any means, not even close. I mean, I'm a huge Cowboy. He was just odd. Like, it was so weird. Like, I watched him play, and I think he'll be better. I think that Dallas defense left such a bad taste in my mouth that I just refuse, I think, to pick them just because they've let me down so many times.
This is what I want to leave you with. Last year, opening game, we lost by 4, and then we ended up later in the season winning by 3. And I think out of those 2 games, our defense played solid, but was still pretty putrid. Our defense got much better, and their offense, I feel like, either is stagnant to where they were last year or went down a little bit.
My problem with Dallas is, too, they're going to drop a couple of games like against the Cardinals or something, like they do every year. It'll be just some random Sunday where defense comes out, gives up a touchdown. We're down 7-0. Now Dak's already pressing because he's got to play perfect because the defense is bad. Then Dak throws an interception. Now we're down 14-0. Now we're chasing. The defense isn't good enough to let us get back in the game, and we lose a game to a team that finishes 4-13 on the year. We lose the game 34-31 because we couldn't catch back up. It happens twice every season. Because not every season, when the defenses were better a couple years ago, but I still think a great defense shows up week in and week out. Good offense, I don't think offenses show up for 17 straight weeks. Like, I just think that defense keeps you in games even when the offense plays bad. I think a great defense can better compensate for a bad offense than a great offense can compensate for a bad defense. Just because defenses in the NFL are so good, if that makes any sense.
I just don't think I'm going into the season scared of the Eagles like I have been in the past, by any means. Like, I don't think they're this unstoppable force that, we're going to lose 2 games. Or
head-to-head, I think we probably get one. They don't scare me head-to-head at all. Like, I just think that over the course of a 17-game season,
consistency.
I just don't trust the defense. Yeah. Even with the additions, until I see it, and there's a lot of things that I like, and I actually really like the offseason they had. I just think that it was so bad last year that it's a huge step to go from where they were last year to winning the division. Like, they won 7 games last year, and it was heroic efforts to win a couple of the ones they did. Like, we're talking – and I'm trying to remember a couple of the games where it was just like the Detroit game, for example, on Thursday night. Like, it's a big game. Like, they score like 4 touchdowns on their first 4 drives. Like, it doesn't happen in the NFL. Like, it was just historically bad. That's my only thing.
I think if everybody stays healthy for Dallas, I think you're talking about Dak and MVP conversations and this being the best.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Dak.
And I think when you're having a conversation like that, of course they're going to be in the running for. Of course they're going to win a lot of games.
Nobody loves Prescott more than me. I mean,
I know.
Nothing.
Should we move on to the Cowboys?
I mean, we're kind of basic. We're basically already having the conversation. I feel like.
Can I give you some positives on the Cowboys since everyone thinks that I hate my own team?
Yeah,
I have a ton of positives.
I think if they've watched the podcast at all, they've picked up on the fact.
I've also watched you in person
Cowboys fan
for about.
I did
watched
call George
in person for about 8 years. Watch the Cowboys, and I could sit there right there with him and be like, "Yeah, he probably."
What do I have to be positive about? What have they given me?
You are like,
here we are.
But this doesn't even necessarily feel like you are that passionate about the Eagles being that good because you're unsure about them. It's just like you have a vendetta and you're confident that your own team is like good. It feels like an emotional take. That's all.
There's some of it. I'm prepared to be let down because I expect a lot out of them this year. I'll say it. I expect them to make the playoffs this year. So I'm prepared to get let down. That's part of it.
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying it feels like an emotional take to have them 2 instead of 1.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I almost weirdly, since I expect so much out of them, I just know I'm going to get let down in my heart. So that's what I'm saying. They should be good. I expect big things out of them, but I just know they're going to hurt my heart. But can I give you some positives so people don't think I have to? So here, I'll give you some positives.
And we'll just let you go with the positives. Say it for the people. Me and Slade don't need to share thoughts on the.
I'm going to give you some positives on the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, Super Bowl champs one day, maybe, hopefully,
eventually,
maybe not
this year.
All right, so some positives. Obviously, Dak Prescott, top 5 quarterback in the sport to me, elite. I don't even think he's really good. I think he's elite. There's some maybe that bias coming out. I think he's elite, especially when he's on. One of the best quarterbacks in the sport. Best 1-2 punch of receivers that I think we've seen since we've been watching football. I think it's 2 top 10 guys. You already know my take on Pickens. I think he's one of the 5 best in the sport, which isn't widely agreed with. So, again, maybe there's some of that bias coming out. The receiver room is obviously great. That's the quick stuff. Everybody knows that. You can hate the Cowboys, and you agree with that. So, you add Jalen Thompson. The secondary will start off 32nd ranked pass defense last year. Not a big football fan. There's 32 teams in the NFL. So dead last. 32 points per game last year, 30th in yards allowed. So really, really bad. They go out and add Jalen Thompson. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's insane, but I think he's really versatile. You can move him around. I think he helps. I think Kobe Durant helps. He's definitely a starter. I don't think he's an all-pro cornerback, but we had Siobhan Revel out there last year, who I actually don't hate. I think that he was a rookie last year. He started off the year injured. I actually still really like Kalen Carson, who started the year injured last year. I think he can have a chance to be good as well. So Darion Kendrick is the depth hire, but Deron Bland's the big factor here. Deron Bland was horrible at times last year, and he was great. If you go and watch the Arizona game last year, you would think that Deron Bland is really bad. I think if you watch every game after that, the rest of the season, you would think he's really, really good. And I tend to lean towards the fact that I think he's a really good player who has bad games. That's my take on Deron Bland. I think he's a really good player who, when he has bad games, I think they're really bad because I think he's an aggressive corner, so I think that's part of it. But the secondary should be better, but it was historically bad last year, so I have my doubts. Interior defensive line, the defensive tackles are so good. I mean, you have Quentin Williams. You have, Kenny Clark. The interior is great. The defensive ends is the big question mark. They really struggled to they didn't get any sacks last year. They were bottom third of the league in getting to the quarterback. You go out and you draft Malachi Lawrence from UCF. Maybe he can be a good player. I'm excited about him. I think the big one, the guy I have started is Donovan Ezeraku. He's a guy only 2 sacks last year, but if you watch him play a lot like I did, I swear he's this close to having 10, and I don't make that up. His pass rush win rate is awesome. His metrics are really good. He was just a step away from having a bunch of sacks last year. And I think, you go from college to the NFL, game speeds up on you. I think he could be a guy that you see go from 2 sacks that nobody in the NFL has ever heard of unless you're a Cowboys fan, to all of a sudden you look up and he has 9.5 next year. You're like, where did this dude come from? Had 16.5 his senior year at Boston College. Dude's a stud, really high on. stud. And
Yeah.
then you have Rashawn Gary, who I think he's fine. Like I think he's a good
see.
player.
Yeah.
The trade
I
was
think
whatever.
I think Overshown is the X factor. Like I think
That is my
Overshown.
favorite. My favorite part of the defensive upgrade this year is going from Sanborn and Kenneth Murray at linebacker to D Winters and a healthy Overshawn.
Yeah.
You go from guys. The speed was so bad at linebacker last year. This year it's the complete opposite. It's so much speed. I think it'll be so much better to watch. Even if it's not great at times, I at least think that they're going to play with their hair on fire. So I at least think it'll be a lot more visually appealing. Like it's going to be a lot more fun to watch. So the defense should be better. They should have a chance with that offense because they don't need to be elite on defense. They don't. They just need to be decent. Like if you can be 19th in the NFL in points per game allowed last year, I think you win 11 games. Like that's all you need to do.
If you can,
I think it was so bad last year. I think that it was so hard to watch last year that I think, and Eberflus is gone, so it's a different scheme this year. Should be running a lot more man. So I don't know. I have a lot of positives. I really do. I'm really, really excited about next year. Like so excited. I promise you.
This is all I want to say about my favorite team. This is the first time, and I think the history of any sport I've ever watched and kept up with like tremendously, that I have seen a team have a need and go all in on addressing it. Our defense was putrid, and we got 4 ends, 6 guys in the secondary, some veterans, some young studs, and then health coming off of Overshawn and Rebel.
Didn't touch the offense.
I mean, the offense is great. We know what it is. As long as they stay healthy, we know what it's going to be. Hopefully, if it plays anything like last year. Terrence Steele's the only question mark on the offense that I still have. Ryan Fournway, I think he can have a breakout season.
Thank you for that.
I mean, he had a great season last year, but he was coming out of nothing to start the season. I've just never seen a team have one need and address it so heavily and go all out for it, which I love. It gets me so excited that they realized that and wanted to go out and just change everything about the team. New defensive coordinator, all those players. Excited to see Caleb Downs. I got a Caleb Downs jersey sitting in the closet. Can't wait to put that on for the first time. I was going to say, I don't think you even mentioned Caleb Downs.
Written, boxed, starred, and bolded, and I somehow didn't mention him. I just got carried away. That is, I'm probably going to smile the rest of the podcast now that you brought him up. That's how excited I am about Caleb Downs. But carry on.
He hasn't seen a single snap in the NFL, and I think he might be one of my favorite players.
He's already the best safety I've ever watched.
And I don't know why.
I haven't even watched him play yet.
I haven't even seen him. I don't even know what he looks like in a jersey yet. No, I'm super excited for this defense. I think they can drastically turn it around. I don't think they'll be top 3, top 5. But like y'all said, top 13, top 10. I think if we're a top 10 defense this past season, we win
that's
4
bullish.
or 5 or 6.
That's optimistic.
More games. I think this past season, if you had a solid defense, we would have won 4 or 5 more games.
Look, I told you my number's 19. Give me 19th and I'm happy. Give me 19th in yards and points per game and I'm happy. That's all I ask for.
The one thing I'll say about Dallas, and then we'll conclude this episode, is I think if DeMarvion Overshown stays healthy, I think people are talking about him in the same breaths as Nick Bonito. Like that's how good I think Overshown is.
Fred Warner.
Wow.
Wow, Fred Warner's crazy. Wagner. Nick Bonito now, not Nick Bonito now, because people are on the Nick Bonito train now. But if you said the name Nick Bonito a year and a half ago, he was an elite player, but nobody realized it. And I think that's how Overshown is. I just think Overshown hasn't stayed healthy enough to prove it. But when I watch him,
he's so fun to watch.
When I watch him, he is one of the most explosive defenders that I watch. He makes a real difference in this defense. And so I do think you could have the conversation of if everybody stays healthy on this team, which we know won't happen, it doesn't happen that way for anybody. But I mean, the Patriots last year, that's why they had so much success. They were the healthiest team in the NFL. And so
this year,
Yeah, I
about
think if they do that, they could be a top half defense this year.
put it to you this year about our linebackers. Our secondary was historically bad last year. Like I said, dead last in pass defense. Our secondary was not the worst position group on that defense. I think that's how bad the linebackers were last year. So I
bad.
think a
It
full
was quite
season of
putrid.
Overshawn and
Right.
getting D Winters in there, who is just it's just better than what we had, man. And that's all we asked for. Like we didn't ask, like you said, you don't need to go out. We didn't need, we made a couple swings at a couple of big targets at linebacker. Didn't work out, but I think it's an upgrade, and I think
Right.
it's enough to get you excited. So
Right.
I'm excited. I
Yeah.
am. I'm really excited.
It'll be good.
13 wins.
13 wins. You heard it here first.
13 wins. No,
The
probably
Cowboys
12
win
and 5.
13
That's what I'm
games.
going with 12 and 5.
Bland had
will
foot surgery in the offseason.
We will
by
see
the way.
what happens. Those are our predictions for the NFC East. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Tell us who you think is going to win the division. How many games they're going to win. Maybe some breakout candidates in this division that you really like. Tell us what you think about this division. We'd love to hear your thoughts. That will conclude our episode, our breakdown of the NFC East. This
Me
is
and
the
JJ
Third
are
and
right.
Wrong podcast.
I hope
Signing
so.
off.
I hope so.
See you guys in the next episode.